La conferencia central nuestra de la mañana. Ya les voy a presentar entonces a nuestro invitado especial, pero quería decirles también como director del programa de ingeniería informática que algunas actividades que vamos a estar realizando pues tienen que ver con el cumpleaños número 15 del programa de ingeniería informática. ¿Quiénes de aquí son estudiantes de ingeniería informática? Entonces un aplauso para todos nosotros. En esas actividades, digamos, académicas que tenemos, nos pareció muy importante, a la Facultad de Ingeniería le pareció muy importante tener invitados internacionales. Entonces ya tuvimos una primera conferencia, pero no es frecuente que tengamos invitados internacionales de países como Corea del Sur, que para nosotros en las áreas de ingeniería y de tecnología, pues ustedes saben, Corea es un referente. Y la facultad pues ha hecho el esfuerzo y con la buena disposición del doctor Hwang de traerlo precisamente para la semana de ingeniería. Entonces simplemente les voy a hacer la presentación del doctor Hwang. El doctor Junseok Hwang es ingeniero en telecomunicaciones, ingeniero informático de Corea del Sur. Hizo su doctorado en telecomunicaciones e informática en Estados Unidos en la Universidad de Pittsburgh. Actualmente pues es profesor titular de tiempo completo de la Universidad Nacional de Seúl, que pues ya les voy a hablar un momento más adelante de la Universidad Nacional de Seúl, de la Facultad de Ingeniería. En la Facultad de Ingeniería donde él trabaja, dirige un programa de posgrado que tiene maestría y doctorado en International Technology Management, Economics and Policy. Este es uno de los programas top para formación en temas que combinan tecnología, informática y política pública. En ese programa, por ejemplo, el doctor Hwang ha participado en la formación de más de 200 líderes globales en innovación tecnológica y en política tecnológica de más de 50 países del mundo. Hay actualmente en países personas con cargos muy importantes como ministerios que se han formado precisamente en este programa que dirige el doctor Hwang. Antes de ser profesor de la Universidad Nacional de Seúl, el doctor Hwang trabajó en la Escuela de Estudios de la Información de la Universidad Syracuse en Nueva York. Es autor de una serie reciente de 7 libros que se llama Dictada, en donde se presenta la filosofía digital de lo que nos está ocurriendo actualmente, de la época actual. Los principales intereses como académicos del Dr. Hwang tienen que ver con la búsqueda de una plataforma de colaboración global que haga posible la creación de valor para toda la humanidad a partir de las tecnologías informáticas. En esa dirección es fundador de un instituto nuevo de investigaciones que se llama ISTIC, que son las siglas de Institute of Smart Technology Information, Culture and Knowledge. Y la misión de este instituto es entender cómo los nuevos desarrollos tecnológicos impactan en nuevas formas de conocimiento, de economía y de cultura. También el Dr. Hwang es miembro de una ONG que se llama Científicos e Ingenieros Sin Fronteras. Por último, pues quiero resaltar la universidad a la que viene el Dr. Hwang, es la Universidad Nacional de Seúl. Es una de las principales universidades coreanas y de las principales universidades de Asia, está en el top 10 de las universidades asiáticas, y es una de las universidades que más ha impactado en ese crecimiento tan vertiginoso que ha tenido Corea del Sur en tecnología, en ingeniería, y que ha convertido a este país en un líder mundial precisamente científico y tecnológico. Entonces, de esa universidad, de esa facultad de ingeniería, es que tenemos a uno de sus más importantes profesores, el Dr. Junseok Hwang. Entonces, welcome, Dr. Hwang.
Buenos días. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm very honored to be in your university, Sabana University. This is my second visit to be in Colombia. And since my last visit in January, early this year, I had, so all you understand English okay, right? I know. Okay, great. I heard actually your university, one of the prestigious university that student has many international language skills, and one of the that is one of the very important criteria for the student to graduate or to enter the university. I've been already introduced about my academics, but I think I'd like to share with you something about the future, which I named Fire in my talk title, Fourth Industrial Revolution Education. And Koreans, like a Colombian, we have a lot of fire in the heart, in many ways. I think we are in common. I have two Colombian students who did PhD under me. One is now teaching in Spain. Another one is now teaching in Seoul National University now. So I'm looking forward to actually having more master or PhD students, who will be a professor or specialist all around the world. So as you have been actually introduced to about me, I'm very international. I studied in Korea, but I maybe changed my professional study to the United States and stayed there about almost 10 years, and including some 3-year teaching in some universities. But since then, after coming back to Korea, I taught a lot of international students because I've been actually very, let's say, lucky to have a fund from our government to give out a lot of scholarships to the students. So far, about more than 60 countries, about almost 150 master and PhD students for the last 15 years. I supported their living expenses, tuition, and staying in Korea. So I'd like to share some opportunity later then, but I'll share with you the fire from Korea. And you already heard about some fire going on in France in my previous talk, right? And so I think there are another fire going on in Korea. So I'll share with you. How many of you been in Seoul? Oh, you. Okay, only one or two. Well, I think it's worthwhile for you to see this video there. I think it's maybe 3 or 5 minutes. How many of you know BTS? You know? Okay, everyone knows. You know BTS, but you don't know Seoul? Then you only know the map. Okay? So take a look at it, and then after that, I'll talk about the fire. You can see well back there? Okay. cultures are now coming out from the Korea, from the imagination of the people. Those imagination not only comes from education, it comes from the life and culture and history and from the people. And also food. So foods are not only delicious, they're beautiful to see, beautifully decorated. Like Colombia, we really love that. There's a lot of fire, you know. Without them, you cannot take out all those things. And that's why all these young idols of BTS that are crazy about, you know, expressing our emotions. So those fires are also expressed as a sport, right? A lot of energy to it, right? Anywhere you go, you can create an event, or you can, you know, order anything you want, even on the river or next to the river. Have you been to this Korean spa? Hey, you enjoy? Oh yeah, I think you got to be there someday, and I think before not to get too old. Well, I think Korea is also a country like Colombia with very diverse nature and beautiful nature, and also people in Korea also, they look very common, but inside all different, like Colombians. And because they are all different, they cannot agree on something. They always have to argue, right? And all difference. But we give such kind of freedom to the people, and respecting the difference, and encouraging the difference, right? So when new young generation comes up with a new idea, let's change. And all generations should say, yes, we do. It's your life, you learn. So not to let the people to be adapted to the system, not. So freedom is one of the important nature that our culture and our education to increase. I think those fire comes from the freedom, and those freedoms are embedded in the people. I think I think I have to go back to all historical issues, why we respect such kind of freedom of everything. But now, current capability that we are having in success or something comes from the freedom. And fire, fourth industrial revolution education, I don't believe it's only about the technology. I don't believe it's only about information technology. I believe it's about any kind of human capability, right? And our imagination to be actually realized into the society. And then we use the technology, you use the social rules, and you use just different ideas. And that's how, probably these education probably need to go on. And in such a way, the imagination and creativity very important. So, probably my objective to come here, my main purpose to be here, talking to you today, is sharing with you about the dream or imagination about your future. Right? Whether we can have such a fire to create our own future, right? Because which is very important these days, instead of being employed by some good company. So, and then probably let's see, what kind of change is going on now. I'm a faculty member in the College of Engineering, but also not only teaching IT or engineering, but also I'm teaching the managerial and economics and policy aspects. So I'm sort of interdisciplinary educator. But in my undergraduate, I did mathematics, and in combination of economics. I studied mathematics and economics together. Main reason is I love mathematics, which may not guarantee the job, but I love to learn. But in turn, I found myself that mathematics doesn't explain about the society, right? So I was probably, struggling. Should I continue? There are a lot of dictatorships. There are a lot of people died in one of our provinces because they demonstrated against the government in 1980s. So I was struggling. So I decided to learn more about social science in my undergraduate. So at the time, so that's why I studied economics. And seeing, what kind of problem we have in Korea, how we can solve such kind of inequality issues, dictatorship issues, right? And poverty issues in Korea. So that explained a little bit, but even economics is a study, the reality is different, right? So I have to face the reality because of that, and maybe I try to find some jobs which can contribute another one for the society, which I believe engineering. So before actually study, I was an engineer for one of the company called Hyosung Computer, which is actually computer like this one, or desktop, or notebook PC. So that was 1989, and I joined to the company. And I designed the hardware, and also because I did mathematics, I also did programming. So I'm probably first generation engineer in Korea about the personal computer and mobile device at the time. So during the time that I'm doing my engineering, I wanted to create a system, but somehow our company wanted me to be a part of the system. I wanted to be the owner or the leader or the manager of the system, but my company, or which we call, let's say, Jebol, or which we call conglomerate, want me to be just specialist of the system. So I also struggled again. That's why I decided to study overseas. I don't want to be a part of something. I want to be myself. But I want to be the one who changed the society. I don't want to be changed by the system. So that was my resistance to the the opportunity or the society where I'm facing as a when I, moving towards the society. So that's how I started to study my graduate study in the United States. And in the United States, I learned many different ways of teaching. One is interdisciplinary. You learn engineering, math, and management, policy comes together. So I did those studies for my master in Colorado and also Pittsburgh. Since then, I've been teaching not only engineering but interdisciplinary aspects for the engineers and also for some businessmen and for societies. So my communication is quite flexible. When I talk to the lawyer, I use the legal term. Economist, I use the economic terms. When I talk to the engineer or computer scientist, I talk about the algorithm and codes they have. And so I think that's the virtue that when you study is kind of interdisciplinary education. So anyway, so this is, I'm probably leading a research group. You only see Korean students, but also this much of the international students are there. And me also leading about 50 full-time graduate student master PhD, which is one of the biggest research groups in our university. And this is the picture of not only the research or teaching, I'm doing also some advising and also services for the global community. This is the one I go to Vietnam last year with our student to provide some rainwater purification system, which means that some schools do not have probably pure water drinking at the site. So we built the rainwater purification and proper monitoring system by using Arduino or IoT device to monitor the quality and finally manage the well. So we are building a lot of sites, and so I'm doing some kind of thing during my summer break with the student and the student. And well, I still, in my education as a professor, I'm still thinking of what is engineering? Who is engineer? I think if we consider ourselves like if we were born 100 years ago, or maybe 200 years ago, most of us might be either fishermen or farmer, right? Without that much of choices, just we do what our family do, right? We keep doing our labor to be, right? Maybe, but in farmer, agriculture, you have many different crops you need to manage, right? And different people have, different kind. I think engineering these days is like a job that we used to be like a de facto job, which is the base of the society. I think we're expecting the society where we would have more engineers than farmers, right? And where we would have, probably most of people would have some of, engineering thinking. Not all of them need to be probably the manager, not need to be the developer or the architect or the programmer of such kind of computer technology, but most of them need to be probably educated how those technology engineering works, right? If these days CEO, managers, any part of our member of our society, cannot, keep up their capability or capacity or their role without understanding the technology, right? And engineering and technology brings out all this. You cannot think about the farming without technology anymore, right? But those farmers who are, succeeding are really, close to understand what engineering, what technology available, right? And they are truly also engineering somehow. So many part of the also lawyer were very good in searching and retrieving data, and they have their own probably jobs and dealing with their technology things. So from my thinking, that's why probably I think we need to expand the scope and redefine the engineering. We don't consider the engineers are only blue collar man, or we don't need to consider engineers are only who are working for the factory, right? Or engineers the one who only write the mathematics on the glasses? No. We are the common people, and we have, engineers has a fire inside. Maybe I think some of them have a more artistic and more design thinking, more creativity. For that reason, I think probably we have to think about the scope of education in engineering. I try to actually awake and open the eyes of the people or engineering professors for them to bring up their humanity, because all we are human, right? And humanity actually has a sort of capability that we can be different and special and creative. So I think I'm still questioning myself as a professor, what is engineering? But when I research with the students and doing the project, I'm actually understanding a little bit more what the engineering is. And also when I'm not just being in the school or class, but when I'm going to the society and go to the another, find the problem, and also going to other country and meet the difference and different ways, and probably my understanding of engineering actually is developing. And somehow probably I should write a book, maybe like I wrote a book called The Digitology, what is digital and how we have to prepare ourselves for the digital society. Probably I have to write a book, what is engineering. But many people, I think, you're Latin, right? So engineering derived from Latin ingenium, right? Ingenium, and sometimes cleverness, or sometimes probably engineering, like to devise, to make, or to come up with something, right? So it is something tied to the making and tied to something, let's say, creativity, right? We don't just criticize, we find a solution. That might be different. Engineer try to come up with something that is useful, right? We don't say what is right or wrong. We say what is the solution, right? But I think solution is more really practically important in real life, right? So we care about the society, real life. We care about the theory and mathematics, but all those finally, whether it is useful for the society, right? If there's no practicality, I think we less care, right? But as a proper practitioner, I'm a practical, professor or educator. I think we engineers are more towards something is good for man, good for human, right? Is solving our problems. I think we have to think about those things. Instead of memorizing textbook or probably equation, I think this is important, but how that can be used, right, for the problem. Well, this is actually a website. I want you to go and take a look at the website. My name will be there, those classes. This is where you can find some opportunity of that, the scholarship, where you can learn how engineering education, engineering management and policy and economics are taught together, and I think you will see. Many universities actually have some relations with me, and for me be a visiting professor, for me as an advisor to their probably college, and because technology management or these interdisciplinary education is very still new in many universities. So many universities, I'm actually consulting for them to develop their master or PhD program, or even some special program for them. So also I'm planning to actually discuss with the faculty member of Sabana University to create these kind of in your system so that you can have opportunity to learn this kind of interdisciplinary education. By my effort and my faculty member and colleague, these dots represent Bogota here, right? Somewhere, right? Right? Which one is it? So anyway, I have a student from, let's say, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, right? And so I have many also Latin American students, and also many students from Asia, and so now they become a good leader in technology. Not all of them are engineers, but I think they know how to probably lead the technology, right? And make a decision in university, make a decision in government, make a decision in some public industry, and things like that. So I believe they are the sort of international expert network. I think I try to create such kind of people or the network, where they can collaborate to solve the global problem together. I don't believe Korea can solve our problem, including political conflict between North and South, or some problems still in economics about the division of the poor and rich. I don't believe many of those problems can be solved by our own society. I think those problems need to be solved by some cooperation with the neighboring countries, right? Or in the global level of the economy. And I'm actually looking for such kind of solution as an engineer, and then throughout the global collaboration. And that's the reason I'm here also with you. So I think going now back to the talk, I think as a background I finished, and then I'd like to share with you why it's unique in Korea. I think Korea's modernization and using of technology and changing the political system and economic system has been very dynamic. I think we experienced the war in 1950s and early 50s, and before that we were colonized by Japan. And after Korean War, we have South part, some military regime and some dictators. And after that, we have a civil demonstration and war to democratize our society. We successfully changed over, and then we are now moving over with different kind of changes. But in that duration, we had also a lot of changes in innovation and technology, especially information technology. Has also a long history in nation where we have been developing continuously since the modernization. So I'd like to share that aspect. As I told you that that Korea has our own languages, right? Writing. Our writings are unique. Each is like alphabetic. Each of them has a consonant and vowels, but combined in not the horizontal way, vertical and horizontal. Sort of a very special way that we combine and make a sound, each sound. And such kind of creativity actually continues in communication. And so I think those things actually affected a lot for us to be engaged with information technology and the way we express our ideas. So I'm going to actually share with you about the Korean experience. After that, how I see what is fourth industrial revolution. How many of you have you learned about the fourth industrial revolution in your classes? Maybe some, right? So what class was that?
It was last semester. It was product design.
Product design. Right, so you got to mention that how probably way of designing could be different. Okay, yeah. So maybe I think some of you, got classes, but probably still not popular or not understanding about what's industrial revolution. There are different understanding. So I'd like to share with you my view, how I see it. I believe actually we are already in the fourth industrial revolution. We had a prelude about the fourth industrial revolution. With that prelude was called the smart age or smart technology, smartphones, smart TV, smart some kind of intelligence we use. So after information age or internet, we have a prelude about, right, and prospecting the fourth industrial revolution. Now our fourth industrial revolution is in reality. Our engineers in some top companies and some very creative companies are already making something, which change the way we think or change the way we live. So I'm going to share with you about that and the reality, what's going on in the revolution now, and what will be the role of the university. I know there are some faculty members, and some of you will be also the professors, in the future, and specialists. So what would be the role of education in post-industrial revolution education? So I'm going to share with you about that. Hopefully, I think this affects your institution and my institution cooperate together, probably changing over the way of teaching and research, and upgrading the culture of the university. I think in many society and organization, one of the most difficult things to change is culture, right? Sometimes, but I think once you have different culture, it brings up different life and different society. So I think it opens eyes to new idea and new concept, but sometimes it's very difficult to change the culture, right? So which need to be kept, how those traditional culture be kept, but still we can have a more modern culture we want to develop, right? Or creative culture. I believe the diversity of the nature, diversity of the people, and diversity of the idea in Colombia will be one of the important success factor, to create such kind of, let's say, innovation or creativity and cultural revolution. I believe actually your diversity in your surrounding environment has a great strength to make those things possible. In that reason, I think probably Colombia would be one of those very competitive or leading frontier in fourth industrial revolution education, not only in Latin America, around the world. So I hope we probably inspire each other and probably talk about those things in the later part. So, well, this is the picture of Korea 50 years ago. I think Myeongdong is a place where you can see a lot of shopping, eat, and technology. Sometimes some events of BTS on the street, right? Signing ceremony are going on. Many young generation go in there, right? In the UK. So this used to this is same area here, right? This is zoom out, and then in a little further distance, you have a lot higher skyscrapers. This one is probably over here, right? You see the difference. So we made a lot of changes, but not only physically, the way we live and way we think, and not only economic changes, the way we live, and also probably we are pursuing innovation, right? And change of the system in different way. Okay. We have a new president last year, right? But that former president couldn't continue. But without any violence, we could actually calm down the former government and probably pursue the Congress and probably pursue the Supreme Court by the people's citizenship to make those changeover legal. I think that is the maturity we learned for last 50 years of modernization, and we know that violence is not help for us to mature in that way. So with the confidence and with the patience, instead of fighting each other about the different ideas, and our liberal part, a progressive part, actually folded candles to change over because of the corruption of the previous government as wrongdoing of our lead, our former president Lee, who are currently in prison. So I think that gives the confidence to show. So now we have a new president. Like you have a new president, I hope they will do well, right? But we are watching, anyone. So anyway, like such kind of new peaceful innovation, I think like Olympic or these kind of we use as an idea, or probably a festival or symposium of idea where we practice our dream. So there we also practice some kind of robots, and serving the people who are coming for the events, and also we practice some new wireless system called 5G. 4G we are using, right? 5 generation. So KT actually demonstrate the commercial version of the the 5G, and so we use a lot of innovation experimented in those events, and then finally it was successful this year. This is also one area called the Songdo, which we call the future of the city, or smart city, sometimes people call. This used to be a sea, but we filled with the soil and finally made a future city like that. I think if you go there, you will see different spectacles. It's more futuristic than any other cities in many countries, more futuristic than New York and San Francisco. So you will see difference. And so we're experimenting a lot of those things peacefully, right? With such kind of freedom, and so the society supports such kind of freedom to do so. So I think, but this kind of experiment development was not, it just happened recently. We had a long time of it, probably getting and importing and receiving the new culture, right, and new civilization. So in the beginning of the civilization, which is more than 100 years ago, like 1890s or early 90s, we had a phone to embed it, and those are available. And over the time, we kept actually having different kind of communication, probably, but our society has been very active to receive new technology and experiment as use. So in 1980s, we had the first mobile phone, and to be used, and a lot of cordless phone, and then probably I think current smartphone, I think was not too early, either because of regulation issues, but I think we've been using these iPhone-like smartphone more than 10 years. But since then, a lot of changes, right? Our iPhone or this pad-based phone creates a lot of different kind of apps, and which creates a different kind. So anyway, we have such kind of but not only in the devices. There's some way, I think, in 1980s, we've been actually investing sort of technology that we can have our infrastructure, telecommunication infrastructure. So having TDX, time division multiplexing, which is communication system to connect different networks, and then we invented our own. So before that, we actually imported those from United States, right? And then some Bell company or some AT&T or some other, But after that, we actually have our own independence. Finally, also in wireless technology, we try to have our own technology. Because even though you commercialize technology, if it's not your own, then you have to pay a lot of intellectual property, right? Patents, so basically you use a lot, but all the money goes to other companies. Right? For that reason, it's better for you to have your own ideas, right, to be used. For that reason, we probably have a cooperation with the Qualcomm, and finally making part of intellectual property or as a Korean property of it. So Samsung actually made a CDMA, code division multiple access, which is one of the probably innovative wireless technology at the time. So technology independence, after that, tried to, instead of copying other countries' idea and then making the new common thing and into the market, we tried to develop and let the market to decide our design as a standard. So I think our society has learned that instead of just following or copying, right, and then probably, and let's experiment our idea, right, and then let them to be either the standard or not. So a lot of first movers like a technology, which need some kind of risk, or need some kind of investment, but it's worthwhile to do. So become some was Wide-Road DMB and some early version of the multimedia application like we see in smartphone. We have a technical license about that. Maybe that's why the Samsung is so strong now in the smartphone. It's not because Samsung actually worked on the smartphone directly. They worked on these things before they have a Galaxy now, right? So those technologies they have, So that's why probably Samsung would be able to claim that this is our technology, not Apple, or this is our technology. There are many embedded things which comes from all these things, and for that reason, much of the benefit can come. But to do so, I think also education is very important. And our society has been invested a lot in education. So I think over the time of these, I think Korean economy is still growing up. It's been slowing down, but still, in the long run, it's been growing up. The information technology made a great contribution. This is also for last 30 years of how the technology, especially ICT sector, has been existing. So it's been growing, right? And so ICT sector, total output has been growing. And out of this one, the export is also a very substantial part. Current IT export for Korea is 1/3 of total export. Okay, so maybe for some country crops or farming or agriculture or export or majority of the export. For some country, oil is the major export of those countries. For us, technology is the export. So it's a good place for you to learn, how the technology. Good thing about the technology change over a lot, right? So that you can experience new things. I think if your country is oil-based, and there not much changes about the oil itself, right? You only think about how you can extract, right? Or where the new oils are. But I think technology is more competitive and dynamic. You have to learn what's going on with the idea and things like that. So, as I told you that we have some PC area and internet mobile and smart area, and which I believe since the beginning of the smartphone commercialization, I think we have a prelude, what we so-called the fourth industrial revolution. I will come back on these things. In our society, we have, many nations has their own way of interpreting fourth industrial revolution or industry 4.0. We believe intelligence, innovation, inclusive interaction. I'll tell you why. I think that this is not only the Korean way we interpret the global trend and how become a global, probably a member of the society, and these become very important part of the industrial revolution aspects as we see in the intelligent innovation, inclusiveness and interaction. As you can see that industrial revolution is not only considered as a just economic part, it includes sort of social part, right? And also some other environmental value in our society. So I think we are looking at many different kind of ideas, how we improve the intelligence, how we improve the probably quality of life and public enhancement, and also new interaction, new ecosystem for the new society, and also how you make our society as a foundation for the changes. So maybe I'll come back to this one later or more. So I think that's about Korea. I think Korea is very dynamic and futuristic. What it means actually, we're concerned about the future. The main reason is we were so poor. I think before war and after war. So majority of our Korean people were just general men or labor. Only few people has all the economic power, king and some so before modernization. But after that, we have been actually the reason is we don't have that much of natural resources. We only have a land where we can grow a little agricultural crops, but not that much of natural resources. So I believe actually, many of the technology that we use and idea we are using, so-called the smart technology, are the sort of foundation or the basis of what we so-called the fourth industrial revolution. And I believe those are the probably smart, the meaning from the actually like an engineering or like a clever or smart is actually probably some common meaning, but generally I think it started from the commercial. So there's no one meaning actually, just try to attract it. But after that, you see a lot of different ideas to be embedded and smart, let's say, farm, smart grid, which actually led the electricity to be combined together, and smart glass like a Google glass. I don't wear my Xiaomi probably the other day, but probably I think Xiaomi actually provides smartwatch, right? Which can be connected to my phone and to see my sleep behavior, right? And my probably how much of the work I did, how much calorie I consume, so that at 10 o'clock, maybe before I sleep, it can remind me you need to walk one more kilometer. Right? That's it. So anyway, so we are experimenting those things. This will become universal. What it means, it will be not only available only for few of the people. This will become universal to many people. You see, how long does it take for us to all use smartphone? Less than 10 years, right? Suddenly everyone uses. Everywhere. Everywhere. I think there's something behind that, right? No matter how it is expensive, there's a great use of it. But it's connected to the survivability, connected to the living. There's no choices. But generally, I think the cost, availability, and usefulness will develop further so that all these smart technology will be available generally for anyone in our life. That will be the base of fourth industrial revolution. I will share the video. I will share the PPT with the faculty member. I hope I think some of my slide has some video or YouTube. I'm not going to run here, but I hope to take a look at. This is the YouTube probably developed by World Economic Forum, so-called Davos Forum, which explains what the fourth industrial revolution. Many experts and groups believe fourth industrial revolution is not only about the economics. It will lead social changes, social rules, and it will change the way we do the politics, and it will change the culture, it will change the way we create the community and family life. Finally, it will change the human. What it means, so it says that we will be defined differently. We are currently called by many anthropologists, we are what? Homo sapiens sapiens, right? So by our intelligence, we are probably considered to be different from other animals, other mammals. So then we might be differently called, let's say, Homo erectus creator pando. Let's see, the value creator, right? Which is actually another, probably not only intelligence, finally it ends up being an engineer, or ends up being something who will create something, not criticizing, not understanding. Intelligence or smartness or sapience is enough for understanding, right? But you cannot guarantee the sapience to make something or change something or create something. Maybe creating is the ability of our God, or God, right? But we are resemblance of the Creator, right? And then we create and solve, right? Or join the part of the God's work, right? And for that reason, I think fourth industrial revolution has a sort of the metaphor how we have to consider the education very seriously. How we have to actually work together as a humanity. So we don't consider the Industrial Revolution as a sort of, to improve our GDP or national economy. Or let's say Colombia better than Brazil. That's not the concept of fourth industrial revolution. How we can make a better living of the human beings, right? All together, right? Because the value, some creative values are not comparable, and solutions are different, and those things are possible. So please take a look at that video. I think 15 minutes or 10, I think, but very, you will get good inspiration out of it. In my slide, you will see also the link. You can play this if you are connected to the internet. Why I believe we are already in the fourth industrial revolution? That Davos Forum was held, and Charles Schwab, who was the chairman of the Davos Forum, declared this kind of proper message in the year 2016, okay, which is 2 years from now. Which is probably already going on. And also year 2016, we have a new initiative, something called SDG, Sustainable Development Goal by UN. Before that, what was it? We are all engineers. MDG, Millennium Development Goal, right? For last 15 years, right, since 2000, all UN members agreed we got to solve the human society problem, poverty, gender inequality, right, education, right, disaster, right? We worked on. There was some improvement, but not fully successful. So we have to renew, right? So probably we are pursuing. So, but I think in MDG, most of the solutions were many leaders in our world, in the earth, consider the economics of business can solve many of our social problems. So their major concern is using the economics to solve the problem of the society, using the money to solve the problem of gender issues and sexuality. Not succeeding, right? So instead of economic value, now we decide, you should make a little more holistic approach to solve the problem. So we expanded the cooperation value, economic, social, and environmental. Environmental includes natural environment, but also environmental includes sort of our psychological or human being environment. And social is about our society and politics, right? Ethics and morals, right? And citizenship and humans, right? So I think we are working on the more in a holistic way, and then probably I think that's fine. So we are making some new initiative, but this one really matches with the sort of the movement in fourth industrial revolution. Like a group, of fourth industrial revolution think that technology itself will not be the whole solution. It needs to be combined together. Then there should be experts who can understand all these together. Another initiative going on in year 2016, World Bank created a report called the digital dividend. Before the digital dividend, one of the concerns of the society in our information age was about the digital divide. Whether all this information technology or digital will let the people to be divided, right? Or for those who have access to the internet, or for those who have more access to your wireless gigabyte, will be have a more opportunity to get a job than the people who do not have or now. There was such a concern, right? So our understanding about is concern, truly there exists digital divide, and it is very severe. And if it let it go, and for those information lead, or digital leading country, or nation, organization, and human society, or people will actually go up. And most of those majority will have probably most portion of the economy. And if those economies are not well spread around, and most of us will not have to. such kind of welfare. So we will have a huge problem like we had before in our old generation of the human society. So for those, I think for those problems does not occur again, then we have to think how the value of this digital innovation can be well shared. Concept of the dividend is something, how the value to be spread, right? So our interest is how the benefit and value innovation can be well spread and shared and well then promoted. And this is also similar kind of embedded scope, inclusiveness, which is in Fourth Industrial Revolution. So Fourth Industrial Revolution is not about the thinking that you are our industry competitive, our company is to compete with others. No. Totally thinking about the problem and then finding out the solution and being a first mover or being a only creator on those problems. So there's actually all this knowledge frontiering is going on, right, to initiate this kind of changes. Another idea, appropriate technology. So not only the high tech, like probably accelerating, let's say spaceship or the tours to the Mars, right? But that is important. But let's focus on the problem, right? How we use our technology for those people who are still not benefiting from those and thinking practically. Appropriate technology movement is also such kind of one of inclusive innovation, which is also very spread around the engineers. So I'm also, the engineers and scientists without borders. So many of our engineers are now also social practitioners, solving the problem and reducing the gap. Right? We are some of us are socialists. Not the political socialist, but we are talking about how the benefit, how to make the people equal or fair, let's say, right? And we don't give up our idea of perfect. We believe someday our perfectness and our preciseness and our professionalism will be much mature than now. That's why the engineer works on the number to be correct, and we never give up the dream. We never give up the probably possibility. I think appropriate technology. Some people, I think, what? Is it engineering? I believe it's a very important engineering, which will make everyone the technology to be useful, more useful than before. So behind that, human values are very strong, right? So we always think about how the technology, how the nature can be well managed, especially for the human. Why the importance of the human beings? Human beings would not be the destroyer of the technology, would not be the destroyer of the nature. For our survivability, we will create our world better. That kind of positive thinking, right? That's why we have to actually protect the human life. Human really loves nature. Human really loves the technology. Human really loves the knowledge. If you but don't protect the human, all those will not. For that reason, I think we have to go back again. Instead of having how much money you are making, what kind of fame you are getting, what kind of power you have, I think what value you are. What value did I create, or did you create today? While you are committing to the university. You may see many, maybe traffic jam, right? Are we aware about the problem which is residing around us? Not. But anyway, there are people who are devoted to work on this problem. I think this is also, they are a part of the member, or the soldiers of Fourth Industrial Revolution. Or revolutionists, which I would say, who will lead the revolution. Suddenly, the fourth industrial revolution can be characterized as one of the new changes in the society or in system, that the distance between human and the thing, or distance between human and technology, or distance between in anything could be closer. We know that already, we are already very close to any technology, right? There are a lot of frequency now going on, which we know, right? In virtual level, right? And some of them are 1.9 gigahertz level, or some point of them are 2.5 gigahertz level, depending on whether it's a Wi-Fi or. So anyway, so we have to treat the technology like a nature, like our law that we are using, right, in our value system. I think the distance of technology to us is that important. So fourth industrial revolution can be characterized as a cyber-physical system or something which is different, that where the technology convergence, because they are close each other, there are much of the opportunity, potential. You can combine, right, thinking, right, or change over, right? Each influence can each other, right? Effectively, easily, and there are more opportunity with the new things coming up. So the convergence has a good value, which is a new phenomenon of innovation in this fourth industrial revolution. We used to call the way we create the value to be exponentially diverged. We used to call those, we did exodus from Malthusian trap. So Malthusian trap is Malthusian actual trap. This theory actually tells our economic productivity has been bounded by our labor or human power, right? When we only have 24 hours, I cannot have a stronger power than any horse, right? Or cows, right? Physically, all physical capability is not like that, right? So anyway, our productivity has been, for a long time, almost same, no matter what kind of social system we have. But after industrial revolution, like steam engine, right, electricity, this has been exponentially grown, which I call the great divergence. And because of the connected closeness to the technology, each other, I think the great divergence will be accelerated. So divergence we will see will be greater, right? Many people see that, many economy growth is slowing down, maybe some part, but overall, there's great opportunity having more productivity. I think we will create a lot of values which will feed us enough. So feeding or survival, like making living is not an issue. But our issue is how we actualize our idea. Probably I think that our life thinking will be different. Because of the closeness which I say that, fourth industrial revolution can be considered as a great convergence. Probably I think with the internet, our probably internet, computer, and mobile phones are the one that connect the people, right? And convergence. But we have a more intelligent or smartness, robotic, AI, nanotechnology, Internet of Things, and autonomous vehicle, which allows us not only connection, right, smartness, right, and to be embedded over there, which will allow us to have a further convergence. So great convergence is another characterization of fourth industrial revolution, and great connectivity, which I say. Probably, we have a much smaller number of the device or technology that are connected to the people, or there are maybe 2003, the more people, now we have a way more technology or devices which outweighs than the number of people, right? But we will manage them effectively. Many of us have a smartphone, many of us still have notebook, right? Still for those who have a notebook, still have a TV, some of them, right? So I think we will be dealing with a lot of technologies, but later on you will have a 3D printer at your home, you can make your own something, right? So I think we will be actually moving forward to a different kind of lifestyle. Greater intelligence. The AI, I think there, deep learning and neural network will allow that actually more of idea also can come from the combination of the knowledges and those artificial intelligence. So I can communicate with the speaker or car like I talk to my friend. And some of our board member or faculty member or lawyer could be sort of NI enabled. And some of us will select or elect congressmen or policy, or politician or congressman or member of a parliament. AI. Why? They do their promise instead of different from other politicians. So like that, I think there are a tendency, maybe not majority of all the people will use AI, but AI will be probably really respected. In some country, they're thinking about. The reason we think AI, yes, it's a machine. Yeah, it's a thing, but that contributes. If we believe that contribute to the human society actively, we can consider them as their right, right? And they are contributing the human level of the intelligent capability. Why not? That's a human invention, right? At least we don't, but they apply to the same thing. They cannot kill the people, right? Right? They'll be actually now like either disabled ability if they make some harms, right? Harmful reaction and things like that. So anyway, but we are living in such a world that where we can actually dealing with intelligence. I bet actually before I die, I think probably I don't need to hire the driver or the Uber. Probably one of the things would be possible if my commuting is simple enough in Colombia. And anyway, I think the greater intelligence, finally, as I told you, great humanity. Our way of thinking, right, would be different. And I think we will be all global citizens, right? I think human thinking is much matured concept than just one member or nationalism. I am myself than before I'm Korean. Am I right? As you are, right? You are you before you are Latin American Colombian. All right? But those respect final will benefit the society. It's not contribution to each other. It benefits. Like I say, if we put more value to the humanity, a human, finally the benefit will be nature, economy, and things like that. For the same reason, if we create a law and culture and education to understand what is human and to change what is human, to understand how we can define human differently, and that benefits our society. I think that includes freedom, that includes education, opportunity, that it includes political diversity, right? And that includes everything. So such kind of probably value in post-industrial revolution, we are thinking that every individual will pursue of self-actualization. These actual aspects are actually by the psychologist called Maslow. And Maslow is in a psychological cognitive thinking ability. And probably in agriculture, industrial revolution, we will focus on more of physical need and survivability and social belonging, and probably at some level esteem, right, to be respected. Finally, self-actualization, right? So, as an independent creature. So, I think in terms of the characterization, what we have such kind of characterization. In order for us to do, I think also government and society who are also probably a little bit, toward to this kind of, progress and social progress, they're working on. So Korea is one of those societies, probably thinking, try to understand Industrial Revolution 4.0 better than now. Also, how to make the Industrial Revolution as a human-centered innovation. So I think Gordon Grayson is a lawyer, but I think human rights lawyer he used to be. So he actually served a lot of, when he was a young lawyer, he served a lot of, poor people without any charges. And so he is actually humanist and human rights activist. So for that reason, actually, he values human rights also, I think, which is also sort of well matching with the innovation of fourth industrial revolution. So our view is actually probably taking some technological part, which we call ICBM, IoT, cloud, big data, and mobile to be a certain basis, but making on top of it, probably creating some AI, right, capability, let the people have already been educated, finally how to solve our problem in our society. So instead of interesting is national development, I think how we use those technologies and solving the limitation of our society is our goal. And many industry experts, I think this is from McKinsey, say that fourth industrial revolution will change our capability, productivity, and forecasting accuracy, and quality assurance, and also probably management, and also redundancy, right? Fundamental changes. Some of them up to more than 50% of what we have. Many of these are in this stage, even with the internet, I think in the level of 1 digit. So less than 10% of the progress we have made. But I think post-industrial revolution, probably many industry experts expect those will affect on us. Certainly, because we will change our capability, the current job will not exist. Many of those will be automated. Then may consider to be threat who are not prepared, but it is not a threat for those who are ready. So maybe our goal as an educator is making all the society ready for that, right? So that, probably we are not only just overcoming, leading these kind of changes. So many people believe that many of, current labor, machine operation, or sales work, or commercial work would be probably computerized, automated, finally, no job for human and humans. And management or some other professionals still will reside without the computerization. So there will be a reformation or restructuralization in the job. I think we have to think about those things. And you are the one who will be creating those jobs. It is not the company, you are the one, you will define. And this is hourly wage, and this is the probably ability of the autonomy, and as you know, the 5 club or landscaping reside in the time of hourly wage, and chief executive in this way. So there will be actually a lot of changes on top of this low-paid job. I think many of the humans will be working on the very high, high value, and you don't need, and also not the massive production, but more intelligent way of managing the knowledge. In such kind of changes, then what kind of skill we might need? I think many of the people believe that computer IT is not just only one profession. This kind of probably literacy or capability of building a computer is required to every domain. So there would be still a lot of need of a computer and probably other science, technology, engineering, right? STEM and mathematics. So something we call the scientist, something probably very important for the engineering, that capability still will dominate in the new. And why? It allows us to have a languages to create the idea. Computer programming is not about creating program. It gives us the way of thinking about this in the complex environment, right? So it's like a mathematics. We don't use the mathematics all the time, right? But with this, differential equation, with all the integral, right? With this, all these, new concept of mathematics, we learn the way of thinking, right? And our creativity comes from that kind of simulation of our idea and languages. For that reason, computer science or programming or technology in relation to computer are not about just skills. It allows us to think very complex. Multitasking will be quite easy, all of us, and we'll be creative and we'll be open to many new learning. And also, we don't need to memorize all those things, right? We don't need to memorize all those equations. We will use our memory, not for memorizing those things, but using our memory to probably, I think, combine some different knowledge. So the way of using our brain will be different. And for that reason, probably I think we have to focus on different way of, probably developing ourselves. And which I believe, entrepreneurship education is not about creating a business. It is enforcing the engineers or engineering mind into many different kind of disciplines. Entrepreneurship spirit is needed not only for the engineer or businessman, that kind of idea needed for the politician, that kind of spirit needed for the lawyer. Why? Entrepreneur. Nature of the entrepreneur is taking new steps, right? New initiative that everyone will create some values for them. So I think probably I gave you probably some sort of the environment how fourth industrial revolution are changing now, right? So you can get a little bit grasp what change is going on. So I truly believe, we are already in the fourth industrial revolution. This is the time that we have to think differently or to plan our career. You will create the system that you will be living or managing, right? We will not live in the system where other people that remain. And how such kind of actualization or realization can happen by creating our idea to be the and so on. I think our university need to play a role and to inspire and encourage our young generation to be a frontier of this fourth industrial revolution, which I call the fourth industrial revolution education. Well, before higher education, before university, generally I think we want to have our student until high school, they learn basic knowledge to be the right member of the society, right? So right member of the society means there are languages and some idea already exist so that you can share, right? But that does not mean that you will create such kind of society. So our expectation about up to the just general education, up to high school, right? Is about probably, I think, for them to learn about the society and basic foundation about the knowledge, right? And human capability to be a regular citizen. Am I right? But being a citizen is not enough. That's why probably university has a role to create the knowledge to our society, right? Maybe university used to be the one that only rich people or some selected people going, but these now become universal, right? Why? Because there's more need of such kind of creation leading in our society. So probably I think we have to go back to the role of how the university should, play in our society. Certainly, not only equipping our people to be, doing great role, but they are the leader of the society, creating knowledge. That's the role and change. That's why when you get a freedom to come to university and the undergraduate, You criticize a lot of things about the politics, right? You criticize about the wrongdoings in our business, right? But you should not let it be there. Something we got to make some actions. Why? We are living there, right? But don't let the old generation to create for us. No. You create your own. That will not be perfect, but you will be living there, right? You're the beneficiary who gave us such kind of changes. University has such role to inspire our students to be more innovative, to be more change maker, right? Finally, to become a better human member of human being for human society. So I think now I'm going to go back to what's going on in the world, especially when we are pursuing. How changing in business. Business is one of the fastest sector about the idea, about the money, about the structure, about the culture. The importance of the business these days is they are experimenting everything faster than political society or public society, where you can learn about it, right? So it's worthwhile for us to look at what's going on in the business. And this is one of the platform economies, so what we so-called Airbnb, Uber, right? Those platform company are the one who dominate these days, $billion plus from the startup, Uber, Xiaomi, Airbnb. I'm the customer of Uber, I'm the customer of Xiaomi, I'm the customer of Airbnb. So anyway, they are the one. Many of you are already also probably Airbnb or maybe some country Grab or some of these. So why is this important? These changes are not conventional. If you compare how Uber and Facebook has been growing compared to traditional BMW, Honda, or Ford or Samsung, the way of doing it different. Many of them did not receive the money from their family. They were just engineers. They were just kids. That's the difference, right? They are not the family of four, right? That's the difference. So, but these changes are fundamental, but they are great value. I think these phenomena will go and go on, but a little bit much more popularized, which I call the entrepreneurship. I know that Colombian society is also now experimenting how you popularize entrepreneurship as small medium business or new way of doing business. I think which is the right direction, I believe. But I think there are great changes. Many of these, like a startup, are actually started from the problem of the society. Uber started from the problem of the taxi quality in the United States, right? And tried to create, but also it is facing the social boundary in many regulations, in many society and culture. So anyway, it started, and some parts of sales they have to pay. So Uber is not about the only transportation company; it's a data company. Right? They have much more member than the Korean population or Chinese or Japanese population, almost close to much bigger than United States citizens population. Okay, well, engineering education. I think many of the people believe that engineering education has probably closely tied to the probably entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship, such kind of entrepreneurial education is very important aspects. So, I call these way as something called the smart entrepreneurship. We have to prepare ourselves as a smart entrepreneur who can actually work on the new coming age in the industrial revolution, and who can understand not only engineering aspect, legal aspect. So such kind of interdisciplinary thinking and creative idea and also risk-taking is actually, and such kind of smart enterprise is very important. And such kind of also embedded education philosophy should be done in university level. I believe actually our formal capability of education or precisely professional, rational and reliability when we are actually educating some professionals, right, in the university. But I think with our creativity and humanity, we probably creativity and connectivity and convergence. Probably would be something to focus. For them means that we have to overcome the boundary of the major. Right? Many of our faculty members need to work together with other majors, right, to focus. Many real problems cannot be solved by one major, right? We work together, right, in real problems. But we have to be experienced and also exposed to such kind of things from the time when we learn from the university. The university has to provide such kind of platform to make those things possible. I know that Sabana is now in the accreditation, very important accreditation process. Maybe this kind of creativity, nurturing environment, right? I think will be very beneficial for such kind of leadership and also in accreditation. And so basically, I think such kind of educational system will lay like a good soil and good, and I'm going to actually skip how the Korea actually engaged their properly idea of this kind of creativity in the education system, which I show you like a smart city or fintech or robotics. University are very heavily engaged with all these projects. And so that actually student experience. I hope we create such kind of environment. We believe universities is not part of this separate part of the university, and it is engaged with the employment and welfare and social system. So I think as a wrap up, I'm also, I told you I've been running this scholarship program which called ITPP. I'm actually also, myself as an educator, exercising, educating this kind of fire, fourth industrial revolution education. So maybe I think, our curriculum currently toward to leading like fourth industrial revolution, like a knowledge. And so like global innovation 4.0 and try to have such kind of research to be engaged. And then having the people to have a certain global capability, global ability. That's why I have an international scholarship coming out. I let them to be engaged with the global. I hope I extend this program with Sabana University and some faculty member and some students in the future, so that actually we can create this kind of educational platform, educational and research platform, to help our students to be the real leader of fourth industrial revolution. So, well, I think I'm on my journey now. I think, create such kind of platform around the world. I'm teaching around. I probably hope to come back again and to have more time with you and to teach you some classes in digital convergence or knowledge management or some innovation. And I've been teaching in Poland. I've been teaching in Indonesia. I've been teaching in Ethiopia. And so I think not just seminar courses, actually regular courses during my summer break or sabbatical. I hope probably I have a certain relationship with you, and at the same time I hope I may invite some of you to consider to study in Korea, especially SNU. And in my program, SNU is one of the best university, and my program, ITPP, is the best university in the world, especially in interdisciplinary. I think much stronger than CMU, which I can say. The way we teach and the way we have a network management. So, and also good scholarship there. Okay? So, please take a visit to the website which I provide you. And if you have some questions, emails, you're welcome to send me or contact me. And I will continue my cooperation with the Sabana University faculty member. Hope I meet many of you in the class, right, or summer session and things like that. Thank you very much, all of you, for your great attention. I will take any questions if you have about Korea or study. I know that we are almost running out. What time is it? 12:08. Okay, so maybe few questions. Okay.
I actually have a question about, do you think it's up to us engineers to... Thank you. I was going to ask you, do you think it's up to us engineers to not only provide solutions to these social issues, but to provide technical tools to maybe people who are not engineers to be able to provide these solutions?
I think so. We are not only responsible for making it, but also since we are the creator, or when you make it, you know that how it can be used, right? So generally, I think engineers knows also some of those parts which could be harmful if it is not well used, right? So we are responsible how it could be well used, right? And well also, so ethics in relation to dealing with the technology, right? And also law in relation to the technology, engineers should be involved. And we know that some of technologies are possible, we know that some of technology are not possible, right? To fix or not. But lawyers cannot talk about those things, economists cannot talk about those things. Yes, I believe actually engineers should not just relying on the lab or the factory, just only working on those ones. You have to come out and how it is used, and also we have to provide it. Okay? Thank you.
Hey, according to what you said about the fourth industrial revolution, it's where the world is moving towards, which is a world where a lot more automatization and artificial intelligence, etc., is used everywhere. But this also means that many people will not be able to do their jobs because most jobs are kind of like mechanic. How do you think we could help those people who are not engineers or are not prepared for this change, and they will end up losing their jobs?
Well, I think current farmer, right, who are working with labor or some kind of conventional technology, may be the probably designer of those technology in the future. And current janitor who are probably, I think, probably cleaning, our houses, would be the designer or the solution, right, idea generator of those. So I think we should have a probably educational capability. That's why I'm talking, to these things that our education system, our society need to, react in advance instead of just using it. So we are not the user or the consumer. At this moment, we have to consider everyone become either engineer or creator. Right? As I told you that we would have more engineer than farmer, right? So I think, but once you become an engineer, I don't believe they will be jobless. I think that they will create another new way of the skilling, and they think their ideas can be. I think there will be an opportunity of the jobs, and so that's the way. If we want to create a new job, let's create our engineering scope or spirit to spill around more, and so that our idea can actually become a role of the society. Right? That's the way we can create a job and we can create a new economy. Right? But I don't believe we will be, whether you are an engineer or non-engineer, I believe every human capability will have a sort of engineering or technical capability, like we speak languages.
Professor, do you think that the fourth revolution of industry will be as fast as the climate change that we have been seeing
Yes,
these years?
it will be fast, and climate change can be solved if we cooperate together also easily, because it fastly actually change and problem, and of course can be fastly also solved. So I think I believe actually it's also very urgent for us. I think this post-industrial revolution is not only about making money or industry or job, it's about in relation to about the survivability of the human being or sustainability of the human. I think post-industrial revolution is the opportunity for our human society to become sort of like a dream society we have been imagining, right? And also reforming from the previous one and having everyone to be in a fair opportunity, right? So I think this is the chance for us to actually, let's say, to provide a solution for any kind of progress we made with some problem. So I think it will be fast like climate change or even faster. That's why education or our politicians or social society need to pay a great attention. But you know that public sector, even education sector, is very difficult to change, right? Changing a curriculum in one department is sometimes very difficult, right? You cannot ask professor to change your textbook. Sometimes difficult, but you should. You have to have a different way of learning, right? We may not use the textbook anymore. It's out there already. We only just solving the problems. So I think in that way we have to change. Otherwise, sorry, yeah, maybe I think that is interacting. So I think it will be fast. So I think we have to act now, right? Anyone? Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Yes.
When we increase the connections between things, we would cause less privacy between our data, our things. What's going to happen with those things with this for revolution, before?
Very good question. We did not know the privacy is important. We did not know that much privacy is part of human right, but now we know. Privacy is very closely related to the freedom. Privacy is very related to the freedom. For me to be being. To be known or not known is my choice. Without privacy, because we are a human being with a socially affected, our freedom reduces, right? So for that reason, all our human community need to, work together to improve our understanding about the privacy. Right? It's not about the only special in any sector. Our human privacy understanding and legal support or social support should be in there, right? That will finally result in how much of work we will work, and that will finally will result in when I go to work, right? That will result in whether I should actually talk, right? Or should use my probably title or not, right? In certain circumstances. So it will create different way of us engaging the society. But our society is not fully respecting the privacy these days, right? And there's no legal readiness about it. We have to improve. And that is also a very important part of these things. Yes.
With the fourth revolution and everything with AI, how do we make, like, AI and robotics, how do we make sure that humans remain as the superior race, and like with jobs and all of that, and robotics and AI doesn't take over completely?
Well, I have a little bit different view. I'm not sure if we are the superior, race, or everyone of our creature has a superiority in their own functionality, right? But I think a great difference is actually human can identify ourselves, with our ability and names and something which I can say creativity, right? So I think it's up to us, how much we value the functions or robots or AI. But I believe actually the AI is resembling humanity, right? So we can actually have a great benefit of using such kind of knowledge machine. But certainly there are the issues that are we going to use, how much of intelligence we are going to use for the war, right? Like we say nuclear bomb. We create this one, now we all of us, let's say not to use it. But difficult to have denuclearization, right? If you see North Korea and the United States or Trump and everyone say that denuclearization. And Trump is asking North Korea that denuclearize, but still the United States has a bomb. Right? For some people it's difficult to understand. Right? Why all these big guys has all the nuclear bomb? Right? Then no one has it. So, but anyway, in the future, if it is dangerous, we should not use it, but we have to go ideal way. Many people believe that if we abandon all those military, probably I think those power will go to the terrorists or other kind of civilian militants or right. So we have to think very wisely how much we use such kind of intelligence and capability. And so I think technology is not full solution, but the way of using technology, how to use how much, are depending on our maturity, right? And there should be a social readiness of using such kind of technology development. But as you know, that technology moves very fast, and also it diffuses a lot, like a smartphone. But hopefully, some of our engineers, some of you create something, and hopefully more than 10 billion people can use those in one year or 1 month. Then you can communicate with them about the value of the society. So not only the using or making money of the technology, you create some value, and which can actually share with the people, right? I don't believe politicians are the ones who are promising the future these days. I don't believe that. I think innovative thinker or innovative leader, but not just only politicians, right? Scientists or engineers or businessmen, right? Or even finance sector, or there are people who think those things changes. Thank you very much for the good question. Any other questions? Okay, yeah, back there.
What are the requirements to obtain a scholarship in SMU?
I think I think there are many different kind of scholarship. So there's scholarship for the undergraduate and graduate school. For the general students, that's our presidential scholarship. I think our embassy and also SNU website. I will probably share some information about where you can find those scholarships. So I think some kind of language test, either English, right, or and then I think some. So general scholarship is just recommendation and their academic excellency and their letter of like intention and the vision. But there are also scholarships which I'm managing is also some innovator for the public sector. So who wants to become a professor, right? Who will be working for the government, who will be working for the global international organization, right? Or being an engineer or something. I think then probably we screen their either experience or probably plan for their career. Based on that, we provide some scholarship. So depending on what scholarship it is, there's a variety. But I think it's open. But I think, as I know, there are a lot of opening for Latin America. You have a very good chance to get anywhere. Because the problem is you did not know before. I think if you apply, I think a great chance. I have actually a few slides about SNU and some scholarship, and not slide, a video, which I bring. Probably I think I'll share with some your faculty member, and then we can show. Okay.
Do you think that will there be any moment when we will we won't be able to create more technology, like because we don't have any more natural resource, or the knowledge is limited, or anything like that?
I don't think so. I think even though we create some system, idea, or technology, I don't believe all of those will be perfect. The reason is human expectation will be also growing. The way we will look at the value of the society will grow. So always we will need some tools and new ideas to be implemented. For that reason, our development, our creation of technology will continue. So our human society, that's why I say that we will define ourselves differently. We'll be the continuous creator, which means we will make changes, right, and create the tools and our engineers, right? And I know you have a lot of questions, but also we are human beings and we have to eat, and yeah. But I hope we have a chance to, get in touch with each other soon. I will work on to creating some student exchange, or myself also coming over. I'm going to invite your faculty members to come to Korea. But if I hear to many of your leaders in your university, I find that Sabana University is actually a very innovative region to be a frontier and one of the best university in Colombia. I see actually a great future and great potential and opportunity for us to work together and create some better environment. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.